Hello again, guys. Wanted to show you a couple quick tips on doing blending. So there's a bunch of ways to blend in Photoshop. I'm just going to go over a couple of them, show you ways that I could achieve a smooth result when I'm painting, for those that are curious. So let's say we have a couple colors here, right? I got this red and a dark red. Actually, I'll tint it a little too. This orange and dark red. I want to go smoothly between these two. How do we do that? Well, one way is, if you want, you could just use a soft brush and try to manage that edge by just like painting soft between them, and color sample by holding Alt on the other side or in between, and then kind of finesse your way. Boom, that's one way to getting a soft result between two colors. Now, what's another way we can do it? Another way, a really popular way, is by using a brush that has pressure sensitivity set to transfer in your brush settings. And this is pretty common. Usually we use either transfer or size, or sometimes both. In this case, you could tell it's both. And a lot of times I'll actually turn off size and just do transfer when I'm doing this, right? And you could set like a minimum opacity if you want. And so I'll go ahead now and I'll just start laying a color down, and then I'll color pick in between, and then lay another color down, color pick in between, and work your way over between the colors. And so you could see, we see steps there. And one way to alleviate this is by turning your opacity down. So like I might put this at like 60, and then it gets a little easier. You kind of just keep tapping Alt, grabbing a color and working your way over, right? And you could always go and make it a softer brush if you want. We had like a super soft brush before. You could do it a little softer if you like. A lot of people will work this way and just kind of get a softer result. It depends how soft you want it to, because this is still going to have some strokes. Some people like to be able to see, a bit of paintiness in their work, but there we go. We have a blend from one color to the other. Another really useful way to do it is by turning down flow up top. And now the way flow works, if you're not familiar with it, it's basically how much paint goes down at once. So if I turn it down to 1 and I paint, the more I paint, the more the color is going to show up. Let me get the right color there. So it's kind of like airbrushy, right? When I first put it down, it's one color, but then the more I go over it, it's going to just keep piling that color on. And you notice how soft that looked and felt. And the difference between that and opacity, so if I turn opacity down, not even as low, but I paint and paint and paint, and it's only going to stay that one color until I lift up my brush and put it back down. And now you're getting that second layer of it. This is kind of cool if you want to do like a layered look like that, but it's never going to build up in the same way that using flow is. And you can use these in conjunction, of course. But as far as getting a soft result, now we can just use flow again with color picking and kind of work our way into, and you could turn flow up a little too if you want it to be a little faster. Work our way into blending between those two colors, right? And it depends how granular you want the blend to, how soft you want it to blend. But boom, we have another way of getting from that color to the other one. And again, you could soften your brush if needed, if you want to make sure, using the hardness. If you want it to have like a softer edge, you could always do that, and that'll help if you need it super soft. So in addition to that, there's two ways. Is if you use, and this is one thing I do a lot, is I'll use the first technique, right? I'll have like a lower opacity. I usually put it at like 80 or so, though I like lowering flow as well, but I'll usually have opacity down, maybe flow down a little. But I'll paint a little, right? I'll get some colors down, and then I'll use a smudge brush. And so I have a preset here for one, but I'll show you how to make one. Smudge brush, and then boom, and look how clean that transition is now. So if you want something super soft, you can go ahead and make a brush. And brush presets, I'll have another video on making brushes and brush presets and whatnot. But this one, because of the finger, we see that it's a smudge brush preset over here as well, is how you select it. And so if I open the brush properties, all this brush really is this chalk, I believe. Yeah, chalk 2 in Photoshop. It's a stock brush tip shape. And all we did to it was turn on scattering, and I put scattering at 20% with pen pressure. And you could play with how strong you want the scattering, because it could really blow out too if you go crazy with it, right? It can just destroy your colors, or if you're having a bigger document, you can do that. Or you could turn scatter even further down and have to, like, you know, it's kind of finger painting. You're kind of smudging the brush a little differently. And which is closer to how the smudge brush typically functions. If we turn scattering off, it's not really blending anymore, right? So not as useful. But as soon as you turn scattering on and then have it more than 0, you're going to get a nice transitions. And you could do this across different colors as well. So if I put down another color, boom. So there's a couple ways to get nice soft transitions between your colors when you're painting. I hope that helped.